My name is Steve Clifford, and I want to talk to you today about scout rifle slings. And I know this is a topic that a lot of people have brought up, a lot of people are very familiar with, but there's one aspect to this that I don't think people are talking about enough, or rather really hasn't been explored enough. So I'm going to talk to you today about the most common slings that you would find on a scout rifle and how to actually use them in the field. Now, most people are familiar with what a proper ching sling is. They know that there's a half twist put in the front of it, and the reason that that's there is when you loop up, it's very quick and easy to loop up, and if your elbow is supported on something, it creates a nice tight solid weld against your body, nice 3-point attachment, and it keeps the sling laying nicely across the back of your hand. Good and stable position. There's also been a lot of talk about how to carry this in the field. One of the reasons that Cooper liked it is because it has this tag end back here. You have the attachment points here, which is what anchors the gun when you're shooting it, using it as a shooting aid. But when you're carrying it, this down here allows you to carry it either in the traditional American carry, in the European carry, or in the African carry position. So you've got all of your carry options available to you by using the ching sling. A lot of people have pointed out that the ching sling has some real disadvantages when carrying the rifle, and that is, tends to slip off your shoulder pretty easily. It's a thin piece of leather, it's slippery, and actually in the American position, it's actually tough to keep it on there even for short periods of time. It also means that when you want to get the gun into action, it's a 4-step process. A lot of movement, a lot of things happening all at once. I've never really been satisfied with any of these carry methods in the field, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. It is my humble opinion that if you have a loaded gun on your person, your mindset should be that you might need to use it, and you might need to use it immediately. So when I'm going out hunting, unless it is dark and it is illegal for me to shoot, anytime that it is legal for me to shoot, I want this gun in a ready position. Now, it's not practical to walk in, a high ready position or a low ready position while you're out heading towards your tree stand or coming back in from it. That doesn't make sense. It's too much. But slinging it over your shoulder isn't enough. I think your mindset should be, what if there's a deer around that next corner? What if one pops up down in that field? What if I come over this next rise and I glass what's ahead of me and I see a deer? I need to be able to be ready to go immediately, which is why I don't carry my gun in the way that is commonly described. The good news is, the different types of scout slings, and I'm going to go over them in just a moment, all of them happen to be just absolutely perfect for using in a different type of carry method. So here's what we're talking about. When you loop up into your sling, you've got this high around your bicep. You've got it laying across the back of your hand. It's anchored to you, and when you go into a shooting position, you're ready to go, right? Well, how about you use that same loop to carry the gun? Put it on your hip. You can walk for miles like this. It is not stressful. It is actually very easy to walk around with it like this. You still have one hand free to open gates, to use your binoculars, and we'll talk about binoculars in a little bit. You can carry it at port arms like this. And like this is actually even more comfortable, but it does take one of your hands. But at port arms, again, you have the weight of the gun is being taken up largely on this loop on your bicep. So your hand, your forearm, your wrist, those really are not taking up much of the weight of this gun. You can walk for miles like this. Now, eventually you're going to get a little tired of being in this position. No problem. There's a second way to carry it. Tuck it down. Again, you can see my hand is very relaxed. None of the weight is on my forearm. It's all pressed between my side and taken up on this. If I'm walking along in this position and suddenly I see something, it's not a multi-step process to get this gun to bear. It's one. It is incredibly fast. If I'm walking along, it's on my hip and there's a deer, I'm already on target. I can get into a shooting position very rapidly. Now, I'm all slung up, and of course, unless your elbow is supported, the sling really isn't being used as a shooting aid, but it allows you to go into any of your intermediate positions without bringing the gun off of your shoulder. It is much, much quicker at bringing this gun to bear. So let's look at the other slings that are out there. I've shown you the Ching sling. You can do the same thing with the CW sling. And by the way, all three of these slings are made by Andy at andysleather.com. Great guy, very good friend of the scout rifle community. Again, loop it up and walk with it. I really like the CW sling, by the way, and I'll show you why. Let's say you have binoculars, which you should have binoculars. You look at something out ahead of you, you see it, now you need to shoot. You bring it up, you notice that nothing impacts my binoculars, nothing gets tangled up here. That is not the case when you are using the conventional Ching sling. With the Ching sling, you bring this gun up, my binoculars just got hit, and it is now looped underneath this part of the sling. Not all that crazy about it. The Ching sling is better for carrying. It's actually not better because it does get in the way. Now, the other option is what a lot of people are using nowadays. A lot of people don't want to put that third sling swivel on their rifles, and they're going with what's called the Rhodesian. Now, the guy that developed this, Andy, actually does not advocate putting a twist in his sling. I put a twist in my sling, and the reason is I want to be able to carry it like this. And I can, because it's now laying flat against the back of my hand. All the weight's being taken up on my bicep. I can carry it like this. Now, the Rhodesian sling, two things about it. If you don't want to put a third swivel, it's the only choice. It is a fantastic choice. If you are willing to put that extra sling swivel, I would do it, because as a shooting aid, it is not quite as steady, it is not quite as solid as a sling that has the attachment point here. Almost, not quite. The other downside is when you're carrying it in the field, a little harder to get adjusted. It is not as stable putting it on your hip. Not quite as stable here. It keeps wanting to roll out from you. So it works. It certainly works. And if you don't want to put that third swivel, please go with the Rhodesian. But there are some reasons to go with the traditional three-point mount that Cooper advocated, either the CW or the Ching sling. Anyway, so this is all about mindset. It's all about being in the field. Now, granted, all of my hunting is eastern woodlands and farms. And I've had people point out that, you know what, out west, people are hiking these very, very long distances, and it's just not practical to carry it like this all day. I am not sure I buy that. Now, I've never hunted out west, but if you have a loaded gun, you should be ready to use it. There really shouldn't be any situation where mentally you can click off. And if you are mentally clicked on, you should be ready to use your gun. Now, exceptions to that, obviously, if you're trying to climb mountains, climb over rocks, obstacles, things like that, where you need both hands, clearly you need a different carry mode. But this is not a mode that you can't use on a regular basis. My hunting, a long time ago, I discovered that I just get bored sitting in tree stands. I hike a lot. I hike a lot because I'm bored. And I will put 3, 4, 5 miles going around the edges of fields, sneaking through little bottlenecks of woods. And I can do that all day long, and I never put this gun over my shoulder. It is never slung over my shoulder. it is, and if it's in that position, it may as well be a purse. So I would encourage you, get out in the field, use these things, use the slings in the real world, how you're really going to use it. Stay mentally switched on and ready to go. So I hope that this discussion has helped you in deciding between the different types of slings. The CW has the advantage, it's quicker up and into action without hitting your binoculars. The Ching is probably the most versatile of them, and the Rhodesian is great if you don't have that third swivel stud. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions or comments. Be happy to answer what I can.